Welcome back to the final 3-player game of this upper bracket stage of the World Championship. As a reminder, this is the standings after 4 games. In my last game, I could secure a second place. I was a bit sad that I couldn't win that game. I think I was in a position that might have been winnable if I played it perfectly, but there were some small mistakes along the way, which then resulted in a second place, but still, I'm kind of happy with the situation. And then for the last game, I actually said that wrong. I said I think a second place would be enough to have it in my own hands for the 2-player games, but that's not entirely true. Only a win really secures this. If Dantes wins in the other game that I'm not part of, then I also have to win to remain in that 4-point difference, because he would be at 18 and with the second place I would be at 13. So only if I win this, it is guaranteed. But the second place is also already pretty good. Dantes also has to win this. With the second place, if Dantes doesn't win, then I would have this goal achieved, even if Vavcinic wins both, I think. Yeah, 17. Exactly. Then Vavcinic would be at 17, I would be at 13. Tiebreakers are even, I think. Yeah, they would be even then. So, yeah, that's the situation. Just as a reminder, the games are parallel, so at least at the start of the game, I don't know what placement I really need. It's maybe finished as lastly, so towards the end I did know it, but then there's maybe like 2 or 3 turns remaining. Yeah, just so you know that it's not like I start the game with that knowledge. It's those 3-player games started parallelly. Okay, that being said, let's go to the game. This game is against Vavcinic and Kushantri. I am in first position. And I think everything is properly set up. Yes. And here I have the choice between Rome Roads, Hanging Gardens, and Stonehenge. I decide to go for the Stonehenge. I think Rome Roads and Stonehenge are maybe close to each other in value. Maybe the Rome Roads I actually do prefer, but for some reason I thought taking the Stonehenge is a bit better here. Maybe on a whim, I don't know. I don't really see strong reasons for that right now. It's honestly like, I do think about these things a lot, but I don't hold these thoughts in my memory. I could try to write them down, but that's a lot of effort. So looking at this, I think it's close, and I think in most situations I would take Rome Roads, but I think I had some thought which I can't really recollect now, which let me choose the Stonehenge, or it was just on a whim, after all. Vavcinic takes the Rome Roads and Richland, and Kushantri, expectedly goes for Confucius, just a strong leader also in 3-player games. So that leaves me with a mine, populating and taking Homer. And yeah, I do remember maybe very vaguely that I thought, maybe it's a bit of a of a combo here with the Stonehenge and Homer. Then I have, because I did see that it's very likely I get him like this. And I wasn't really, in situations like this, I'm not really keen on waiting for an HA leader that then gives delayed value. It often is the case that then you elect a leader in a turn where you could also take a good card for 3 civil actions, like an Iron or a Code of Laws. That's why I strongly prefer taking even yeah, a worse option of a leader here in a spot like this. I mean, maybe it's close because Boudica is really delayed value because, yeah, then it's only in 2 turns where she starts giving income. But Aristotle, maybe you can argue that you don't even need to elect him, and he gives the value uh, only as soon as you take technologies anyway. So maybe it would have been an option to take an urban growth here and wait for Aristotle. Then again, maybe Varcinic takes him for 2 civil actions. Yeah, overall, I was then happier with Homer. And I also thought it's actually maybe kind of nice to have those 2 happy faces on this wonder. Then you really don't have to invest into a happiness solution for quite a while. So it becomes the better hanging gardens here. And maybe I also thought, after all, that it's a bit better, the combination than with Roman roads. But I can't really exactly tell you why. Yeah, because of the 2 happy face thing, I think. I don't know if that's a good argument or not. The downside with both of these combinations is that these wonders take 4 civil actions. Yeah, then the Stonehenge, at least in some cases, enables you to get extra civil actions sooner. Maybe that's the argument. Yeah, I think. Yeah, we have a coherent thought for this. Yeah, all in all, maybe not the most conventional or best start I could dream of, but I think it's playable. Yeah, here I draw reds and the medieval army. It's always nice to draw this. I think it's obviously a very good tactic in multiplayer games. Lets you be very secure. Lets you go very secure into H2 if you get the knights. And maybe with Homer, it's extra nice to have a good tactic because you do want to use his rocks at least somewhat. Okay, Ravcinic builds the mine, goes for a Shoka here, elects him, isn't willing to take an HA yellow card as a color, wants to be more civil action efficient. Kushantri gets the library for 1 civil action, builds the mine, also populates and elects Confucius. And here I decide to play the reds. It's always nice to have that asymmetric information. It's bad for everyone, and then something gets presumably equally bad for everyone. If you have the information about it, should be always a good bet. Development of agriculture is revealed, and then I have an interesting choice here maybe between iron and alchemy. And I don't even remember, what do I do? Build a lab, take the alchemy. I prefer the alchemy here. Maybe a bit interestingly, I have some extra science. Yeah, I do think they are very close to each other, and I think ultimately I took the alchemy because I have 4 science then, and I can upgrade 1 alchemy next turn. With the iron, I would be dependent on a development helping me out there. But I could still just also go for the wonder. So, close call, I think. Yeah, uncertain. But I think they are so close that either way, you can't really say it's totally wrong to go for this alchemy. Pavcinic goes for the lab, takes the iron. I think maybe also a bit part of the thought is that alchemy might be better for Pavcinic. And then in the sum, I decided for it. And it's better because this Roman roads also already gives some rocks, and then the iron is a bit of an yeah, not an overkill, but yeah, he would. I don't know. If you have the Roman roads, I think you always prefer the alchemy over the iron somehow, but also quite close. Yeah, he takes iron in warfare. That's 10 signs here in his hand with +2. So yeah, he would have been happier about alchemy and warfare. Fishantry reveals the development of crafts, and it's interesting to see now for me if he takes this monarchy, that very early monarchy. I would be very happy about this with the Stonehenge in hand. He builds a lab, populates, builds a stage, and does take the monarchy. So I don't have that available. Development of science is revealed. There would have been the science for the iron, and yeah, there was the iron for him. That's quite nice for him, although he also might just build this. I take knights here and actually go for the knights. Yeah, in order to make use of Homer. Build 2 stages of the Stonehenge. Means I just delay alchemy a bit, but I make use of this extra resource of Homer. 1 or 2 times. Probably 2 times, maybe even 3 times. We would see. So I can already kind of hope to get Shishka here. It's also a part maybe of the equation why I go for the Stonehenge before the alchemy. So that this wonder is finished, I already see 2 leaders. So could be Shishka, could be Da Vinci. I would prefer Shishka, I think, but Da Vinci would also be nice. So I want to have this wonder finished, and then maybe yeah, the knights are more just going for those knights is a little more coherent with that. Draw another tactic, the Legion, which is not that relevant now that I've already developed the knights. Avcinic goes for the iron over the Roman roads, upgrades twice, takes swordsman, plays the tactic fighting band, and is willing to take corruption. So he could have populated instead of taking swordsman. But yeah, he already sees that I'm going for knights and wants to have this option in hand. Even takes corruption, but it was only 1 rock corruption. And yeah, he's already at 6 rock income, so 1 rock and one food, of course. Corruption. But yeah, it's not the end of the world for him. I personally probably never would have taken the swordsman, but yeah, maybe it's the correct call, yeah. If you already see this guy with knights in front of you. Development of warfare is revealed. I think, yeah, sadly I don't have a free population. Would have been nice. He neither. And he did take it, if I'm not missing something. Yeah. So yeah, we don't see a revolution because he doesn't need to. He goes for it peacefully. Takes Shishka here for 1 selection and builds a stage of the Wonder. Can't finish it, but can still take a patriotism. Doesn't take drama. Can take a look at how good drama is in this game, and I think it's actually pretty good. There's Marlene Dietrich's. I think drama is actually the best card with Dietrich. Yeah, if you somehow manage to build that early drama, in a lot of cases you build a culture lead, and then in the end, Marlene Dietrich becomes an S tier option. Securing that lead, you only need to go for military and maybe build up some science, economy still in H3, and she secures all the problems. So if it's as cheap as that, yeah, he gets a patriotism 1 for that. It's in general not the best yellow card, I would say. It does have its use, of course, but if it's as cheap as that, I think I prefer the drama here. Well, I would have preferred the drama in his position. So, still, Confucius, library, monarchy already developed, super good spot. Shishka in hand. Yeah, cannot complain with this position here. I didn't get Shishka, but I do get Da Vinci, so that's also very good. Obviously, I can finish the Stonehenge and populate. I play the medieval army, and sadly, I cannot. I cannot make use of the extra rock this turn, but maybe I can decide to do it next turn. Actually, yeah, it should work out quite nicely. If I build a warrior and can still go for the alchemy with Da Vinci with his extra rock. I should have 2 extra rocks. Yeah, I draw the pestilence here. Of Chinyach. Takes Nostradamus. So that's a very good option here. Alchemy. He also elects him already. Has corruption issues anyway. And yeah, also just the deck might flip and he doesn't want to be weakest, so that's Nostradamus. Development of religion is revealed. I think we can all take that. Yes. So he does take it, elects Shishka, takes Swordsman, finishes the Wonder, plays the Fighting Band, adopts the Fighting Band. It was played by Vorcinic earlier. Which is always a bit... I tend to avoid... I mean, I did put out that medieval army early, so I didn't want to lose the tactic and the cards. But I do avoid to freely lay out this Fighting Band if there's a Chishka in the game, because it's just such a low effort, high impact tactic for him. Yeah. But the medieval army is also a very good tactic for him, so maybe my argument is a bit... I'm undermining myself there a bit, apparently. So, yeah, the patriotism finds use already. He can upgrade those 2 warriors for civil action then. And is the strongest. That means I'm the weakest actually here. Do I see it anyway? I don't. I even built the knights. And go for the warfare. And just delay this alchemy. Yeah, also maybe a close call if I go for the... I mean, yeah, if I go for the warfare, then I don't have enough civil actions to upgrade that alchemy anyway. So then between warrior and knight, I can also just build the knight. If I only build the warrior, I'm at 6 strength, and I would be the weakest on his turn. I have knowledge, I think, only of one event here. It was the rats. If I'm not missing something, I didn't see anything else. And yeah, there's a Shishka here, there's Nostradamus here. It's not that unlikely that there are weakest events that could really hurt, so I went for the play that, yeah, secures that. And also maybe a bit the Dark Ages dodge, possibly. I also have no knowledge of that. It's also a high incentive to see the Dark Ages against the Stonehenge player, maybe, so I did go for the play that burns through all my signs and goes to 4 signs again. Then next turn I can go to... Yeah, maybe I can even develop something again, although I don't know. But for now, the Dark Ages, the possible Dark Ages is dodged. So yeah, it's a bit cautious maybe, but I think it's still also reasonable here. And I also actually do like my position. I have this medieval army, which is pretty nice. I will have good science income now, and then Da Vinci also helps a bit with the rock income. And yeah, I have that warfare already. I'm only on 4 civil actions, which is a bit sad. I think there has not been a code of laws yet, but maybe I can get yeah, my hands on that. That would be nice. I draw the raiders here, pestilence and raiders in hand. Yeah, Rough Genius reveals the barbarians, and yeah, we wouldn't have been losing that, but like this, Kishantri is going to lose the population, so there's already been a bit of value from my decision there to not stay the weakest. Genius develops Swordsman, builds one, upgrades a mine, builds a stage of the Roman roads, does still want to finish this wonder. Upgrades another warrior. Now Krishnasri is not willing to cede, he goes for irrigation, upgrades 2 irrigations and takes a theology. Also over the drama. I do cede the pestilence and reveal rats. I was very sad about this. That population wasn't really unimportant for me, but I was willing to gamble. It's only 1 in 4 chance to reveal the rats. All the other events I didn't see, but I was the strongest now, so it was a good opportunity cost. I was really hoping not to hit the rats here because I did want to get this population out. But I thought, okay, if it happens, then at least he also loses some, yeah, a lot of food. Best case is that I seed, he seeds, and then rats happen. Or maybe he even decides to seed. I don't know. Yeah, it does kind of suck to have hit that now because that extra population, it will take a lot of time until I get it, and then I can actually maybe get into a spot where I need a guy for the military. Yeah, so I was not happy to see this. But it was, yeah, it's not the end of the world also, and it was just a bet I was willing to take. Yeah, especially the Wombo combo maybe with the pestilence is then just bad because until this pestilence happens, I need to get a guy out, and then I can't really use it because I know there's a pestilence coming. So maybe go for the raiders instead. Then again, we have here swordsman with Nostradamus. Yeah. It's a bit sad. I upgrade the alchemy here once, take EG, and yeah, upgrade the alchemy again. Yeah, EG for 2 here. I think there are, yeah, there's still this option, St. Pete's, maybe. It's an option for me. And also there's just decent H2 wonders. The Harvard College is pretty good. Continental Railroads, always super good, I would say. Statue can have its value. Kremlin and Eiffel Tower. The Kremlin's actually a bit more of an option in this game thanks to my 2 happy faces. I actually had to look up a rule, which I didn't really know. And that is if a Ravages of Time happens, this happy face remains under the ruins. So that is good to know. Yeah, so Kremlin overall maybe gets a little more playable with this setup here. Decent options. The other option maybe would have been to go for Breakthrough and Richland maybe even, instead of this Engineering Genius. And if I look at this, yeah, maybe that's a bit better than spending the 2 civil actions for EG. It's close maybe. Thing is, I don't have, yeah, I only have 4 civil actions, and it is important then to be civil action efficient. And maybe this EG, maybe there's some cases where the EG doesn't do that much for quite a while, especially if I don't get the St. Pete's. Fighting Band has been revealed by Virginia, who played an event here. He finishes the Rome roads, develops alchemy. He's on only 2+2 science, but It also dodges a possible Dark Ages, maybe some slight indicator for that. And yeah, next turn he can start to upgrade those. He has a lot of rocks now. And in H2, the Roman roads will also produce some extra signs. And now we see an interesting turn here. Kushantri decides to disband a mine and a philosophy, pure insanity, and build 2 warriors to become strongest. Which means I'm the weakest. And I was very unhappy to see this. Then this means I was just giga unlucky with the order of the row of the cuts here, the event deck. And it is, yeah, the maximum tell that here's the information about these 2 events. Otherwise, you cannot explain his turn. And then it has to be the worst case. It has to be Uncertain Borders plus Reign of Terror, or Uncertain Borders plus Border Conflict. And losing both of these events, he decided would be worse than this. And this is very bad. I was very unhappy because, yeah, I lost that food if I didn't reveal the rats in that situation, but one of those strength events, I think I would be in a very good spot. And now, since he did that, I kind of have to mirror that, because yeah, if the tell is so obvious that that's those 2 events, I think it's actually really worse to lose those than to disband something here. And yeah, the one that's happy is the Nostradamus player, who doesn't have to do anything here for now. He's not even, yeah, he couldn't even, I was so unhappy about this. He forced me to also dispense something, but he didn't even manage to make sure that he has to react to something. He's still not the weakest, even if yeah, compared to him. So, yeah, super unhappy about this. I have to mirror this. I can't say, okay, I will lose those events now. And if we took Vavcinic out of the equation, it would be, it's definitely the correct play against Kushantri. And yeah, even with Vavcinic in the equation, he will be very inclined to seed now. And then I even win one of those events, hopefully, Uncertain Borders. Yeah, but still, this hurts. And I don't think, yeah, I think in extremely many constellations of this row, I would be extremely far better off than with what happened now. I still take the iron for 2 civil actions here, especially after going down to 2 bronze income. I do want to upgrade the irons as soon as possible. Take the frugality and keep the colonies in hand. Maybe an early navigation could be a good option. I draw a tactic, which is nice. The Napoleonic army is really actually not that bad if you already have knights. Even the outdated one is not such a bad option with this setup. Yeah, but then if you get also rifleman, then you already have a proper tactic into late game. So that's a good draw, I would say. Only the mobile artillery is preferable in this setup. Vavcinic seeds, and indeed it is in Uncertain Borders here, which was, yeah, heavily telegraphed here by Kushantri. And honestly, from my perspective, I didn't really understand. He pays such a heavy price for not even dodging it, just forcing me to do also a bad thing for my civilization. And this guy is happy. Wenn zwei sich streiten, freut sich der Dritte. The German saying again. So Vavcinic has to be very happy with this, and I was very unhappy. But I was still, let's say, relieved that it was the Uncertain Borders now, and I did win this. Now, depending on what happens here, I maybe can ignore one strength event if they somehow manage to surpass my strength again. So Vavcinic does not manage to surpass it. So I am fine in that regard. Kushantri takes a call for 3 civil actions here and manages to tie my strength. So this time at least Vavchinec is behind us. And I see one of the, I think, developed territory, and it's the Reign of Terror. I would have preferred, obviously, to see the border conflict, because it would also gain me something. Or maybe even a foray was possible, but yeah, it's Reign of Terror. It is yeah, annoying for Vavchinec. He doesn't have a free population, and there will be another pestilence also. So at least he also has to suffer a bit here. I think he can just get rid of the religion. It's not the end of the world. And then build the Great Wall. And yeah, I go for an iron upgrade here. Take the cannons. Decide not to take the Code of Law here, which is maybe a bit questionable. I am still on 4 civil actions. Then again, I was on this 1+2, and now I'm at least at 1+3. And a Code of Laws would have meant that I could not develop a government that drops into the row, and like this I can develop a government that drops into the row, and I think it's super likely that one government until my turn drops into the row. He is not very inclined to take it because he has monarchy, so there's a decent chance maybe that it happens, and that would be way better than having played the Code of Laws now. So overall I can now send the decision, but maybe it's also, yeah, maybe it's still better just to play this Code of Laws here, take the delay the iron for a turn, or maybe even not pay 2 selections for the cannons. Then again, I don't really want him to have cannons for 1 selection here. Then again, he might also just not be able to take it because he wants to finish the Great Wall, or kind of has to even. If he gets rid of the religion, he might also get rid of an agriculture instead and not finish it, but that does hurt a lot, especially given the pestilence still in the row in the event deck. And he has knowledge of that with Nostradamus. I think he elected it early enough in order to have knowledge of that. Yeah, okay. Not Code of Laws. Yeah, not certain. We do the Ravages of Time, and that's actually when I asked myself, can I actually play that? Do I want to play that? Does it kill my Omer happy face? But it doesn't. It would be an option. But I think losing this library somewhat late into the game doesn't hurt as much. Losing that does hurt somewhat, but losing that also hurts somewhat. Still a happy face, and I only get 1 culture per turn. So I don't know if it's the best option, but it is an option. So Vavchinec seats, opens the developed territory. I'm willing to bid for. I have drawn some colonization cards. I'm quite happy with that. Only have to send a warrior. Then again, yeah, okay. I mean, I would definitely do it again, but there's still a pestilence coming. I really hope to be able to populate before that pestilence. But also, if I populate, I might also want to build that warrior again. Yeah, this pestilence, I'm not happy having seen it dead after all. But it's all the one in, it's actually such a ripple effect from the 1 in for hitting the reds. I think my position would be super good if I didn't hit that. Then again, yeah, I think it was a decent bet. I think you need to take some bets in such games. If you play it too safe, yeah, that's also just not such a good approach. But yeah, that's how the game works. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the bet was just too bad after all. Vavchinec does reveal the finish the Great Wall with his turn. There was a common actually, but he didn't have 12 signs. He has 12 signs now after his turn. And yeah, he did go for this coherent play of destroying the religion from the Reign of Terror and finishing the wonder. Kushantri reveals the pestilence, sadly. I mean, it does hurt everyone, not only me. He also gets rid of his religion. I already did. Oh, I never took. What? What happened to my religion? Have no recollection of that. What? That's his temple. Okay, I honestly have no idea where this went. Well, actually, I didn't take it. I don't know. But yeah, this also looks like I was actually at least relieved. I mean, it kind of looks a bit awful for everyone here. And actually, I think my situation is decent because I have this science lying around. This common is coming now. He's not going to take it away. Plays cultural heritage, takes wave, takes patriotism. Has not enough science and rocks next turn to go for the coal. But it's on +1 science, and if I had to compare positions, then I would say this is the by far worst one. It does produce some culture here, but this is a huge problem, obviously. I do go for the Conmon, so yeah, that not taking the Code of Laws did work out like I hoped. I am on 6 civil actions now. Also somewhat decent rock income here with the 2 irons +4. Can take another EG here for 2 civil actions, which means I can take any wonder, and I hope for this railroad most of all. Or maybe Harvard's also a very good option. With the 2 EGs. They are not in the row yet, but as soon as one drops, I'm willing to take and build that. I had an option also of going for navigation here. I think I also still played historic territory, maybe even not. Maybe it was my first intuition to still do this instead of taking this EG. It might be that I don't have information about the colony, and ultimately I wasn't willing to gamble on one of them having seeded one. But I think it's a pretty close call. As soon as there's an impactful colony in and this navigation helps me win it, it's a very good play. But if there's not, then even with this +5 science income, it is a big cost. And yeah, as soon as I have played this navigation with all those MA, no one of them is willing to still seed colonies. So it's a bit gambly, I would say, to play this navigation here. So I took the EG instead. Vavchinyach reveals cultural influence. Kushantri wins out on that a bit and takes the Republic here for 3 civil actions, plays it. Frugality, efficient upgrade, architecture. Could have maybe considered Nobel here, but yeah, found here very good cards on 1 civil action and then wasn't willing to do that. Which means, yeah, here's a wealthy territory, wealthy 1. That would have also already been, I think, reason enough for the navigation. But I didn't have knowledge of that. It means Kushantri wins this for a swordsman, which is super good for him. It helps him to upgrade code twice now. And he also fixes science problem with Nobel. I would be very surprised if he doesn't do that. Yeah, it's even his first civil action. Then he goes for a swordsman with a patriotism, right? Yes. Can upgrade coal. And all of a sudden, he fixed all of his problems. Especially thanks to Nobel, I think. It's the best leader you can dream of in this situation. So yeah, I was a bit sad that Vavchinyach didn't go for it. But certainly understandable. Yeah, somehow his position went from super bad to actually decent, I would say. At least decent. I take journalism here in hand. I think can still be a good option here with Da Vinci. There's also Newton in the deck, which can be very nice with the journalism. I built an iron, managed to get back to the standard setup. Take Grow Frugality. Wawczynic offers a scientific cooperation to Kashantri, who rejects it. Yeah, he only has 6 science, 6+3 science. He's on 6+5 science, so I can understand why he rejects it. Wawczynic takes the selective breeding for 2 civil actions and upgrades it. He did have to, from the pestilence, get rid of food, and that was yeah, pretty horrible actually for him because he didn't even have income. Now he could fix this. Still takes Catherine in hand, which is kind of nice with the Republic. And the Great Wall maybe takes cannons. Elects Catherine also, threatening to steal a yellow token from us, especially maybe with that swordsman on top. Kishantri reveals knowledge of ancients. Yeah, it's more or less equal here for everyone. Can go for Code of Laws. Gets access to this Harvard College, which further solves his problems. I'm a bit sad that he has access to it for so cheap because I was yeah, hoping that it reaches me when I saw it in the row. But I already had to assume that he will take it. And then the other ones are sadly very late overall. So my EG one, if you remember back, bad. Such a card that here is in my hand for such a long time, doing nothing. Could have been a rich land and breakthrough. That would have been the way better option. That would have maybe allowed me even to take this Code of Laws and still be in a position to develop a government, although I'm not entirely certain. Yeah, he gets access to strategy. No science for that now, but as soon as he has Harvard, he has also that aspect of the civilization fixed entirely. At least, yeah, midterm. Short-term, midterm. I don't see it. I play Frugality and build a cannon. Can still hope maybe to draw the mobile artillery, which would be the nuts. And instead of... maybe I also still go for a warrior here. Do I? No, I don't. This already defends, but I can't defend against yeah, losing a yellow token anyway. So it's nice to see that I have drawn a defensive army. By now I can discern that from other tactics. It's this thing, and it's not the positional army or vice versa. The positional armies, I missed that one for an entire turn discussion in the last video. Yeah, but that's super nice to see, obviously. That means he can't get it. It's the nuts for him in this setup. And yeah, reason for cannons over warriors also that if I get the rifleman, then I'm more military action efficient. And yeah, the more important reason is I can still draw the mobile artillery, which would be the way better tactic. Wawczynic builds a selective breeding from scratch, still develops the warfare, going to 4 MA, and takes Revideer, Breakthrough, Opera. Yeah, does have Architecture Opera in hand and enough science to go for both. Kishantri reveals the Good Harvest, which gives them way more food than me. I didn't get my hands on a selective breeding yet. Plays the reserves, builds Harvard College, takes Cavalryman. We did lose a yellow token, by the way. I offer the military protection to Kushantri. I thought, yeah, it's a nice little play to get the culture income. And that's more or less it. We can makes him the strongest. I think maybe he has the best spot, and maybe there's still an event where I would be a bit happier at Kushantri wins it instead of Ovchinec. But ultimately, I think the culture difference, it's a two culture different, two culture income difference compared to Kushantri and one to Ovchinec, and that's already reason enough for me, I think. Crucially, it doesn't enable some aggression shenanigans on him. I don't like these kind of interactions, as I already told. So I think this is fair play here. And yeah, of the wonders that I wanted, I don't think this is the one that I wanted, but right now I think of these three, it's the best option. It's a bit more civil action efficient. I can't really go here for the Kremlin here. If I had a surplus of happy faces, I would probably consider it. I can't actually recollect why I didn't go for that St. Pete's, but I remember that I had something else to do that was more important. So, I mean, yeah, now the Aegis at least do something. I actually delayed because I think the growth is also better. Finishing it doesn't do that much now. I thought these three rocks here for the growth are better with this journalism still in hand. And this means one more tile in H2, then we can compare the situations. Scientific cooperation by Ovchinec offered again to Kushantri, who this time accepts it. Now it's a very more equal situation for both of them. And of course, I'm not happy to see it. I said in the last game, this is probably one of the worst pacts to play against. Especially here, if you see this Nobel in the game, then the value of this pact is absurd. And it's always painful to play against that. He takes Justice System, Breakthrough, develops Justice System, takes Team Sports in hand, and builds cannons. Maybe telegraphing, he might have the defensive army, but happily I know that he doesn't. It also makes him stronger. Enables tactic options, of course, not the only reason telegraphing that possible defensive army. It's just a better setup than just still building warriors. But yeah, if you don't have that knowledge, you have to be afraid of that. So it's good to have that knowledge. Kushantri takes pro spot for 3 here. It's also a pretty decent drop for him. He has some happy face issues. Yeah, he could populate twice and would still be pretty annoying, I think, for him. Like this, he can just go for it. It's a very good card for him. There's also a Coubertin in the deck, which makes this highly valuable. And yeah, let's compare the situations. I think economy-wise, it's more or less similar. Wawczyniec has here the bigger rock stockpile, but I have a lot of yellow cards. So I do have a lot of rocks in hand. I also have reserves maybe for food. I have a good tactic here, so I'm not really that afraid to just die to something. But I have a food issue here, which I can now solve. Kushantri, unless Kushantri, no, the turn is over. You maybe could have hate drafted it, but yeah, would not be recommendable, I think, and he didn't do it. So I will get access to that. But somehow, I would say, especially maybe this culture gap. So economy, more or less similar, maybe a bit worse for me because I don't have food fixed yet, but I will fix it now after this turn. And then they just have a bit more culture. He also already has a bit more of the culture income, just from the leader and the wonders, 5 culture income. And he has already a bit of a gap here. And yeah, he crucially has 8 civil actions. I only have 6. Krishantri has 6. So not having gotten access to this justice system and not having taken that code of laws does hurt a bit. It's 6 civil actions going into late game is just not enough to make really powerful turns. Every civil, especially the discrepancy to 7 and 8 civil action, but yeah, I think even the 9th and 10th civil actions gives a lot of value in those H3 battles. So somehow, even although I had some things going for me with Da Vinci and a timely Conmon drop, I would say I go into H3 a bit behind. I was a bit surprised by that, especially after the turn where he disbanded his civilization. I thought, okay, I can actually chill in that game, and I will probably go for second place anyway. But then some things happened where he fixed all his problems, and now he's actually, I think, a bit ahead of me. And then there's another maybe thing here to um, bear in mind, or to focus the attention of, is that he went to 0+6 science. There are still H1 events. This says red, but it said red falsely on everyone anyway, I think, although it doesn't here. Okay, let's say it's his event, and he has knowledge that this might be Dark Ages. Also didn't take political action here, so it might be Dark Ages. So I have some science lying around here that I have to get rid of before I see it. And since I don't want to see it, and actually the promise of military protection doesn't really yeah, it makes me weakest right now. It didn't do that before. I mean, I was weakest anyway, pact or not. Now, without the pact, I'm not weakest. And I think he did solve all his problems, and I have to be a bit wary now also of his position. So I just cancel it. Finish the Wonder, take Newton, which is actually super good. Can go for this journalism to 10+8 science. Good science income now. It delays. Oh no, it doesn't even delay the selective breeding because of Newton is just a perfect leader actually here. Because I do have a problem here with the civil actions, and Newton helps with that. He's super good with the journalism. I can fix the food income now. So yeah, I mean, my position is decent. I draw some impacts here: happiness, architecture, colonization card. Avchinich reveals a border conflict. So yeah, having switched that pact did do something for me. Not losing this border conflict would have been ugly. Okay, I had this agriculture available, but still. I sadly didn't manage to get strongest. Yeah, that was just not really an option, I think. Maybe, I don't know. That turn was too good. Getting strongest there was very expensive. Have to repeat the turn because of the bug. Yeah, we see the border conflict, and Genius gets access to a very early computer here in H3, which is always super good, and especially here with the cheat pact. Feels bad to see that. Even is willing to take corruption here for the rifleman, for the H3 pact, tactic options. And gets access to air forces also. Kushantri does even cancel the scientific cooperation with Vavcinic. I'm very happy to see that. And takes a military build-up, reveals classical army, plays the military build-up thanks to the Harvard College, and builds the classical army, and is all of a sudden at 28 strength. So depending on the draw, I mean, he makes it look a bit like he only had these 3 draws. He makes it look like he already has a war in hand, and that already threatens a war. Maybe he also has an H2 war in hand, but this, yeah, creates military pressure here, which is pretty annoying. He also has 11 signs for the military theory, so and also has the strategy in hand, has signs for that. He does have a war available, turn available if he has a war that is very nasty. And I do see one of the events. Should have checked beforehand. I don't really know. Certainly not a strength event. Independence Declaration is revealed, but Virginia is the weakest without colonies. And here yeah, I was contemplating this turn obviously for a very long time. I decided to take this oil because I thought, yeah, no, I also remember what event it was. So, the economic progress. And I thought, yeah, if I go for such a timely oil, it is somewhat early still, and especially with Newton, it's doable. And I have a rock issue. I don't have architecture. I can't just build journalisms here. And yeah, with this oil, it will pay itself pretty quickly, especially with the economic progress. It will pay itself. Yeah, very certainly in 2 turns max, something like that. Then I thought this is a chance of me actually competing for the win in this game with a stronger rock economy. Because somehow right now I feel like I'm behind. Yeah, with this oil play and the reserves in hand, I can still build a second army. It would not be enough to defend the war, but nothing would be enough to defend the war. That I just didn't have that option really available. Yeah, unless maybe I draw, I get access to an air force. Even then, but it's not enough. But it would still be good to get that air force. Yeah, maybe in some cases then. No, not really. If he declares a war, there's no chance of this economic progress happening until then. But yeah, there was just not really anything I could, that much more I could do about it, I think. I take this, yeah, this last selection, I take pro sports in hand. I really considered movies because there's also Fleming. And then I thought, okay, it's so unrealistic to get movies out in this game. If he threatens this, and then this pro sport is, yeah, between this rev idea, military theory, and pro sport. I went for pro sport because it's a bit of a hybrid play between greed and safety. I think maybe the military theory might have been the safest bet. Then the rev idea is also, yeah, quite valuable, of course, in this situation, also with Newton. But pro sport, at least, I mean, I have no other happiness solution, especially if I don't take movies. And there's just Kubatur in the game, and I might just, yeah, create my culture with that. There's also an internet in the game, which I can maybe aim for good, decent internet with ProSpot and Kuberterm. So I wish I could have also taken the movies to have that option. But this game looks like he has no game plan other than going for code for military, or at least maybe that's not true. He does. He does have movies in hand also, but he just threatens it very, very urgently. So you kind of have to take that seriously, and it felt a bit too greedy to take those movies. So that's a team sports, professional sports. There is just, if I take the movies, I think I can only realistically build movies if I get the engineering also. Or maybe without the engineering, it's only one. Yeah, maybe still a good option with quarter in hand. Ach, with Fleming in the game. Yeah. They offer a military alliance to each other. And the trend of not being part of any pacts continues. Teenage upgrades in our computer, builds team sports. Does he take quarter here? No, he doesn't. Builds cannons. And yeah, this military alliance was even a bit more annoying because I mean I knew that I could defend an aggression. I honestly didn't consider can I also defend an aggression against the military alliance, but gladly I could. But it means I had to get rid of 3 cards. I think the decision wasn't that easy. You know, I have still these 3 impacts in hand. Country takes Reverie for 3, plays them, and gets a democracy out. Fixing his civil action situation from 6 to 8. Populates and yeah, gets access to the converter very cheaply. I populate, play resource. I do fix my military here. I kind of have to, otherwise I can't defend another aggression. And get computers still, efficient upgrade, reserves. Yeah, didn't have the rocks to just upgrade it. Otherwise, maybe I would have. But like this, I can do it next turn. Super nice with Newton, and then I also have at least the option of going for Fleming or Einstein. Or even Marie Curie. It's also maybe part of the oil equation was actually Marie Curie, that if she drops, she's also a decent option actually in this game state. I draw 3 other impacts, so I have 6 impacts in hand, 5 impacts, and a freedom of movement, rather. Balance, government, competition, science, architecture. None of them is a freebie, but some of them can be good for me. I have to start seeding them. We do see, I mean, it's a super tight game, and they just have this culture gap here, which I have to somehow overcome, which doesn't look that easy. And I still have to be wary also of the military potential. Yeah. With the strategy. Okay, now he doesn't really have that. Just if he got another rev idea, but they are out. Okay, now he kind of pivoted away from this. Maybe he didn't have the war. Yeah, I mean, evidently he didn't, right? Otherwise he would have warred me. Or even him. Although I think I was the by far better target. And yeah, also Vavchinjach doesn't commit to military at all, although he also has yeah, options in hand for that. There's a lot of science lying around here. He's very well prepared to go for Nobel Prizes. But yeah, he didn't commit to military. He somehow cheats his culture income here with Wonders and Leader, and is also very versatile spot. Popularization of science happens, and I'm very sad that it happens before I upgrade my computers with Newton. Chatry switches to Combatant here. So at 9 culture income, it's just a perfect leader for him in this game. Was a little sad that he didn't take it away. Was also a good option for him. Maybe not the best, but a good option. Chantry takes patriotism, multimedia still, oil in hand, which also looks like he just wants to speed up the game, which is super relevant. He is ahead here, but has no good science income. And we will have a lot of potential Nobel Prizes available, especially Varcinic. And this turn already put pressure on the ending of the game approaching. And this made my turn really hard. In this situation, we already see it is not impossible that this is the penultimate turn already. And I am just these 20 culture ahead, behind. So what do I do? Probably I may not even take a card. But if I don't take any card of those, I think I also just lose. I do just lose. So I do then decide to take the engineering, which is, I think, and maybe hopefully no other card. Yeah, which is just super valuable here for my computer still, for pro sports still, and then it taps me maybe to build an internet actually, which can still be very decent. And if I still have 2 turns, and with the economic progress, does it still happen or did it happen? Yeah, still with all those cards, then with the EG, with very cheap pro sports, with computers, maybe one journalism still. In 2 turns, I will have a huge internet available. And this all doesn't work out without the engineering. So I thought, okay, there is a chance that the game ends if I take it. I think there's even a chance that the game ends if I don't take it. It just gets harder for them, or especially for him. He doesn't have the biggest incentive maybe to end it. So I hoped actually that he makes certain that he can't end it. Yeah, but I thought without one of those cards, another option was the space flight. Already gives some good culture, but not enough to overcome that gap. So in the end, I thought, okay, it has to be EG and a big internet in 2 turns. Can upgrade the computers, and I do go for Curie. Thought this 3 culture income right now is better than potential civil actions next turn. And I would have preferred maybe Einstein, but he's just not here. So Curie is here. I think she's a decent leader right now. So also gives some strength. She makes me the strongest actually. There might very well be some strength events here. Last selection is taking multimedia. Yeah, so I make certain to only take 1 card. I've changed seats and reveals the refugees, so I get rewarded for this Marie Curie play here. He takes the space flight, develops opera, takes democracy on top. That's 1 more card. And I was not really happy to see that because I knew then Then Kushantri is able to end the game. Maybe he was even able to end the game. Yeah, I think he wasn't. I think he actually wasn't able to end the game if he didn't take this democracy. But since he did, he was able to end the game. He did set it up nicely the turn before. And yeah, like that, I'm sorry to say, but somehow the game ran away from me this time. I don't know. I thought my entire setup is decent, everything is decent, and then the game is just over, and it's just, yeah, no way to still catch up this gap. Too few impacts in there, even in total, even by them. It's just 3 impacts, only 1 by me. And I don't really have a turn here. I could take it and build the internet, but it's like 12 points or something. Maybe I should still do it, but I think it's honestly meaningless. So I went for just yeah, maximizing maybe for some potential impacts. Maybe I did play the impact. I did actually play the impact of science myself. So I try to make certain I win that. And yeah, we see. I mean, with this setup, if I have another turn and get this internet, I mean, if he doesn't end the edge, he takes the internet. But at least I get the United Nations. Maybe can choose one of those impacts. I can, yeah, still create a lot of value here with architecture. Maybe still not enough, but yeah, like this, I think the gap is just too big. Vavcinic, it doesn't look that big, but Vavcinic, yeah, still has a very potent turn ahead of him with Einstein, some text, another Nobel Prize. He builds that spaceflight for 29 culture. So yeah, after all, I probably should have taken this spaceflight, and maybe that would have been the play that can try to secure a second spot. I did try to play for the win with this EG play, but maybe it was a bit naive to hope that the game doesn't end, that he doesn't want it to end. Maybe his spot's just too good, and he says he was confident in winning the game by ending if it ends, by aiding to end it. So yeah, I hoped he wouldn't aid in that, and then yeah, I mean he was already seeing that, right? Then I do start to get a contender for winning the game like this. I'm not, and then he was apparently confident to win it against Kushantri, given the impacts he has, given the fact that also the impact that I played maybe can help him, because we have very similar setups here. He actually made certain to still win Impact of Science, which I seeded. By building a computer, I think. Kushantri tries an aggression of Chinjach, is not successful. Can still take and build the internet, so that's still 24 culture. Yeah, maybe I should have taken and built that, but I thought that that's just also 0 chance that I achieve something by that, more or less. So I did go for the play that fixes like Impact of Happiness, and at these attempts to win the Impact of Science, I did see that he could build maybe a computer, but thought maybe he doesn't. Can also just build an opera. Yeah. And somehow this game was then very awkwardly bad for me, and I don't really know why. So, I mean, as always, some of small things, some of small decisions. In the end, yeah, playing with 6 civil actions until the end of the game. It's also unfortunate that the civil service was not available for me. I think it would have improved my position a lot. I would have to recheck if a democracy was available for me, but then again, the democracy also without a civil service or Code of Laws or Justice Systems, also only from this to 7, and then a huge science investment. So it was realistically about the civil service to fix this. And yeah, somehow I'm just in a giga losing spot here. It's between them still interesting. Mavcinic did apparently have an impact of progress available, or don't sue me, maybe I played it, but I think I played only science. Maybe I played 2 impacts. There's industry, balance, 12 to 8, and then we know it's the culture. Science, 14 to 0 to 7. I am 30 culture behind Tree, which is really a bit blowing my mind after this early game. I thought he was dead. I thought he killed himself in that one turn where he disbanded everything. And then he somehow managed to fix all his problems and actually had even a somewhat realistic shot here of winning that. Vavcinic did need some decent impacts. I mean, in the end, there were 5 impacts in there, and yeah, the civilization is just so much better set up for impacts that it was very realistic that he would win this game. But he did have a shot at least at winning it, and I was just out of contention. Maybe you can argue that my last 2 turns were horrible. I cannot touch this engineering. I cannot. I still do have to take this internet. Maybe actually this lets it be somewhat close. But my internet was something like 15 culture, and I cannot fix happiness then, which is I think possible to be in there. And or maybe I can actually build the pro sports. I'm not entirely certain, but I cannot do a lot because, again, the lack of civil actions. It's more or less take and build the internet. And maybe one thing. Not certain. Maybe I have to disband and build the pro sports then. I'm not entirely certain, but maybe it was still my only hope to go for the second place, to take this internet away. But I don't know. I was maybe also a bit sad and mad about this game in the end and didn't do the cleanest turn there in the end. I think it makes no difference. One of you guys can check for that if it could possibly make a difference. I didn't really thoroughly calculate it. And I lost this game. That's pretty sad because that actually makes it very unlikely for me to achieve my goal of having it in my own hands towards the 2-player games. I sadly don't have a screenshot. I thought I did, but I don't have a screenshot available of the standings after this game. So we can take a look again at the standings after the last game and deduce that, Vavcinic is now at 12 points and Kuchantry at 5. That means 13, 12, 11. But I have 5 games and they have 4. They have 1 game left. So in almost all circumstances, at least against one of those, I don't have it in my own hands. So yeah, if Vavcinic wins, he is too far ahead. If Dantes wins, he's too far ahead. There is, however, one possible result, exactly one, that does let me stay within, the realms of this goal that I had. And this would be Kuchantry winning the game. And then, what is it? Vavcinic has to be second place, right? 12, then 14, yes. And Dantes has to lose. Because even if Dantes ends up second place, he's at 15, 11. Okay, that could still be within reach. Maybe that doesn't make the biggest difference, but it can be that he's better in the tiebreakers. I don't have that information available now in my memory. The tiebreakers first instance is how often you ended up ahead of the other one in one-to-one comparison. It might be equal, but I don't know. Yeah, however, I really need Kashantri to win this game, this last game. And maybe it does not make the biggest difference between these two. And yeah, as of recording this video, it actually happened already. And we'll look at this now. I will try to make this available here. I think now you see it, right? Yes. There is the final standings, and we can see I was very lucky. And it is exactly the result that I hoped for. Kashantri did manage to win this game. Avcinic ended up second, Dantes third. Which does mean it looks like this. And actually, everyone has realistic chances. Only Kashantri against Vavcinic. Vavcinic is ahead in the tiebreakers, and even if Kashantri wins that game, he will stay ahead in the tiebreakers. So he has to win the game and hope that Vavcinic loses another game. But then he can still, if he wins 3 games, he has very realistic chances. I think this comes down to who wins 3. But yeah, Vavcinic and Dantes are in the better spot here compared to us because yeah, Vavcinic will always only need to win 2 games. No, not always. Yeah. If Vavcinic wins 2 games, then we do need to win 3 games each. Yeah. So in some cases, 2 games will be enough for him. In I think more or less no case, 2 games will be enough for me. And for Kashantri and for Dantes, it's a bit in between maybe. So yeah, overall, that was the 3-player games of this stage. And yeah, we can see how close it's just so close. It's on such a high level that minor things are very impactful. And I'm not unhappy with this. I think in one game or the other, in one 4-player game, in the end, I think I lose to the best impacts available to Dantes. Even that would make a huge difference. I think in this last 3-player game, maybe there probably were some questionable decisions. Like this oil, maybe I didn't know really. Maybe it was too slow. And then again, I think if the game continues for one more turn, then I have a decent shot actually still at contesting the win. Or at least the second place. Yeah. And yeah, overall, very interesting stage. Very, very cool group of opponents. Grateful for that. There was a lot of light-hearted talking also. Some bantery, as I already mentioned once. And that makes the game a lot more enjoyable. And now the 2-player games have not started yet. We can look forward to those. I will try my best. I yeah, did mention that maybe 2-player games are my best suit, but it's also just it's World Championship. They will try out these games, and against such opponents, you can't just assume I will win all my 2-player games. That's unrealistic. I will try it, of course, but the chances are more or less equal for everyone, maybe. And that's a good thing, right? That's still very yeah, exciting finish of this stage, and I will try to share those games with you guys. Thanks for watching, and see you in those games. Bye bye.